You wake up. It's dark. The house is quiet. And you already know what the clock is going to say before you even look. 3. 3 in the morning. Again. Your heart is going a little faster than it should. Your mind is already moving, even though your body hasn't. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering, is something wrong with me? Is my body trying to tell me something? It is. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what. The 7 signals your body may be sending when it wakes you at 3 a.m. 7 suspects, from the most common and easily fixed, all the way to number 1, the one that connects everything else together, and that almost everyone misses. I'm going to divide this video into 3 parts. First, why 3 a.m. specifically, and not some other hour. Then, the 7 suspects, one by one. And finally, the part that matters most, and how to stop it from happening every night. My name is Dr. Kaiser, and this is The Health Signal. Stay with me, because suspect number 1 is the master thread that connects everything else together. And it is likely the exact reason your mind is racing at 3 a.m. I had a patient tell me something last month that I think you'll recognize. Dr. Kaiser, I haven't slept a full night in over a year. I wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, mind racing, and I just lie there. Sometimes until 5 a.m., sometimes until morning. I've started dreading bedtime. She wasn't alone. Studies suggest that roughly 1 in 3 adults wakes during the night at least 3 times per week. 1 in 3. That's not occasional poor sleep. That's a pattern. And research has linked this kind of disruption to high blood pressure, blood sugar problems, and increased heart risk. So here is the first thing I want you to understand. This isn't just insomnia. Sometimes it's a message. Now let me explain why 3 a.m. specifically. Sleep isn't one long continuous block. It moves in waves, cycles of about 90 minutes each. In the first half of the night, your body sinks into deep sleep, heavy, still, hard to wake. But in the second half, after about 2 or 3 a.m., that deep sleep is almost gone. What remains is light sleep, dream sleep, the surface. Any small disturbance can break through, and something else is happening too. Your body has already started preparing for morning. Temperature rising, blood pressure rising, and one hormone beginning to climb. That hormone is the thread that connects almost every suspect on this list. We'll come back to it. First, the 7 suspects. Suspect number 7, the bladder. Doctor, I wake up because I need the bathroom. That's all. Here's what surprises most people. In most cases, that's actually backwards. You didn't wake up because of your bladder. You woke up for another reason, and then noticed the bladder that was already there. If you're getting up 3 or 4 times every night without fail, that deserves a specific conversation with your doctor. Prostate, heart or kidney function, blood sugar, those can all cause true nighttime urination. But for most people, cutting fluids 2 hours before bed and avoiding caffeine after 5 p.m. is the right first step. If that doesn't help, it wasn't the bladder. Move up a level. Suspect number 6, silent acid reflux. The heartburn you don't even know you have. But I don't feel any burning. That's exactly why it's called silent. When you lie down, stomach acid loses the gravity that kept it in place during the day. It slides upward, into the esophagus, sometimes into the throat, and your body, in a reflex designed to protect you from choking, wakes you up, sometimes with a cough, sometimes with a tight feeling in the throat, sometimes with nothing you can name at all. No eating in the 3 hours before bed. And one simple adjustment: raise the head of your bed by about 6 inches. A wedge under the mattress. Let gravity work for you again. If you wake with a dry cough, a bitter taste in the morning, or a throat that always needs clearing, add reflux to your list. Suspect number 5, blood sugar dropping in the night. and the role of alcohol. This is where things start getting serious. Here is something fascinating. Your brain never stops consuming sugar, not even when you sleep. Your liver acts as a storage tank, slowly releasing glucose through the night to keep the brain supplied. But when that tank runs low, because you ate too little at dinner, or because you ate mostly refined carbohydrates, that spike quickly and crash, the brain goes into emergency mode. It sends out cortisol and adrenaline to force the liver to release more sugar. And those hormones, at 3 in the morning, wake you up, a little sweaty, anxious for no reason you can identify. That's not anxiety. That's hunger. Your brain running on empty. Now here's the thing about alcohol. A glass of wine before bed seems to help you fall asleep. And it does. But in the middle of the night, alcohol drops blood sugar and blocks your liver from restoring it. So the glass of wine that helped you fall asleep is often exactly what wakes you at 3 a.m. What helps? A dinner with protein and healthy fat, not just carbohydrates. And if you drink alcohol, finish it at least 3 hours before bed. Before I show you the 3 suspects that change everything, I want to share something that might be the most relieving thing in this entire video. Almost nobody knows this. Before electric light existed, people didn't sleep in one long, uninterrupted block. They slept in 2. The first sleep began at nightfall. Then, somewhere in the middle of the night, everyone woke up for an hour, sometimes 2. They prayed. They talked. They ate something. They visited a neighbor. And then they returned to the second sleep, until morning. Historians and sleep researchers have documented this pattern across cultures and centuries, which means waking in the middle of the night is not a defect. It may be your body trying to do something it did for thousands of years, before the electric light told it to stop. I want you to hear something important. If you wake at 3 a.m. and cannot return to sleep, that is not automatically a failure. That is not your body broken. That is biology. Real biology, with a real history. But, and this matters, in some people, with some of the suspects on this list, that ancient waking becomes a signal, a message. And the 3 suspects still ahead are the messages you cannot afford to ignore. Suspect number 4, hormones. And this one speaks directly to women. Men, stay with me, because number 3 has something important for you too. If you are a woman over 45 or 50, and you used to sleep well, and now you wake at 3 a.m., sometimes with a wave of heat, sometimes with your heart racing, sometimes with nothing you can name, that is not coincidence. In perimenopause and menopause, 2 hormones drop significantly, estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone has been called the sleep hormone. It calms the nervous system. It helps the brain settle at night. When it falls, it is like removing a safety blanket from the brain's nighttime environment. Add hot flashes, which tend to peak between 2 and 4 a.m., and sleep becomes fragmented. This is not disease. This is biology. But suffering through it silently is never necessary. Effective options exist. Talk to your doctor. What helps at home? A cool bedroom, lightweight bedding, clothing that breathes, and avoiding alcohol and heavy food at night, which appear to worsen hot flash intensity. Don't worry about remembering all of this right now. The checklist at the end brings everything together. The 2 suspects still ahead are the ones I most want you to stay for. Suspect number 3, sleep apnea. One of the most common, one of the most serious, and the most quietly dangerous, because most people who have it don't know they have it. Here's what happens. During sleep, the muscles of the throat relax. In some people, they relax enough to close the airway entirely. You stop breathing. For 10 seconds, 20, sometimes 30, oxygen drops, and your brain, desperate, yes, desperate, does the only thing it can. It wakes you up, just enough to breathe, just enough to restart. Often you don't remember it, but your body does. And do you remember suspect number 5? The pounding heart, the sweat, the anxiety at 3 a.m.? Pay close attention to this part. Sleep apnea does exactly the same thing, because every time breathing stops, the body fires the same emergency hormones: cortisol, adrenaline, the same chemical alarm, just triggered by the lungs instead of the liver. Not every snore is apnea, but loud snoring, plus waking up tired no matter how long you slept, plus a partner who has noticed pauses in your breathing, that combination lights up a warning sign. Untreated sleep apnea strains the heart, raises blood pressure, increases the risk of stroke and heart attack. This is not something to watch and wait on. If that pattern sounds familiar, ask your doctor to evaluate you for sleep apnea specifically. Sleeping on your side instead of your back helps. Weight loss helps significantly, and effective treatment exists and changes sleep completely for most people who use it. Suspect number 2. This is my territory, the heart. And what I'm about to tell you, most people never hear. Have you ever noticed that most heart attacks happen in the early morning? Not during exercise, not at dinner. In the morning, there is a reason. The first organ to wake up in your body is not your brain, it is your heart. Hours before you open your eyes, your body has already started preparing for the day. Heart rate rising, blood pressure rising, blood becoming slightly thicker, slightly more prone to clotting. In a healthy cardiovascular system, this is a smooth, gradual ramp. You barely notice. But in a heart that is already under strain, with narrowed arteries or elevated blood pressure, that morning surge is exactly when things can go wrong. A classic study following over 42,000 heart attack hospitalizations found that on the Monday after clocks spring forward, losing 1 hour of sleep, heart attacks increased by 24%. And when clocks fell back, gaining 1 hour, they decreased by 21%. 1 hour of sleep, that is what sleep does for your heart. Waking at 3 a.m. does not mean you are about to have a heart attack. For the vast majority of people, it is simply the physiology we have been discussing. It becomes a warning sign when it comes together with sleep apnea, or uncontrolled high blood pressure, or chest discomfort, or shortness of breath. If you have those alongside the 3 a.m. waking, that combination deserves prompt medical attention. Not tomorrow, now. What protects your heart during sleep? Blood pressure below 130/80. Treating sleep apnea if you have it. And consistent good sleep itself, which, as that study shows, is already medicine for the heart. Suspect number 1. The one that connects every single suspect above it. The chemical alarm that fires too early, cortisol. If you've been waking at 3 a.m. for months, feeling anxious, mind racing, heart going, and you've blamed yourself, told yourself you just worry too much, I want you to know, this is not a character flaw. This is chemistry, and chemistry can change. Cortisol is the hormone that wakes you in the morning. In a healthy rhythm, it sits at its lowest point around midnight. Then it begins rising, very slowly, like a sunrise, reaching its peak around 8 or 9 a.m. That is the healthy ramp. But when you live with chronic stress, worry, or chronic pain, that rhythm breaks. The cortisol doesn't wait until morning. It surges early, at 2, at 3, and it drags you out of sleep with your mind already moving, your heart already faster, your body already on alert. Here's the encouraging part. Cortisol rhythm is one of the most responsive systems in the body. It responds to morning light. It responds to movement, to rest, and to consistency. You don't need medication to reset this. You need a pattern. Look at the thread that ties everything together. The blood sugar crash in suspect 5, cortisol, triggered the adrenaline. The apnea in suspect 3, cortisol, fired every time oxygen dropped. The heart's morning surge in suspect 2, driven by cortisol. One hormone, multiple suspects. One chemical alarm going off 2 or 3 hours too early. And here is the cruel trap. You wake at 3 a.m. You look at the clock. You think, not again. That thought adds more stress. More stress adds more cortisol, and more cortisol keeps you awake longer. The more you fight it, the more awake you become. The solution is the exact opposite of fighting. Before we get to the plan, I promised you something at the beginning, something that researchers at Harvard and the University of Arizona published, and that almost nobody has heard. They called it the mind after midnight. Here is what the data shows. Between roughly midnight and 4 a.m., the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning, perspective, and problem solving, appears to be significantly less active than during your waking hours. And mood data from thousands of subjects shows that emotional state reaches its lowest point between 1 and 4 in the morning. What this means in plain language: the problem that feels enormous at 3 a.m., the worry that feels impossible, the fear that feels permanent, is not an accurate reading of reality. It is your brain at its most vulnerable moment, operating without its full capacity. The monster at 3 a.m. is almost always smaller by daylight. I want you to hear something important. If you are lying awake right now at 3 a.m. and everything feels overwhelming, please remember this. Your reasoning hasn't disappeared. It has simply gone to rest for a few hours. By morning, it comes back. And the same problem almost always looks different in the light. Never make a major decision at 3 a.m. Never measure the size of your life by how it looks at 3 a.m. That hour lies to almost everyone, including people who should know better, including doctors. Now the plan, in 2 parts. What to do in the moment when it happens, and what to do during the day to stop it from happening. In the moment, rule number 1, do not look at the clock. Seeing that it is 3 a.m. and that you have only slept a few hours immediately adds stress. Stress adds cortisol. Cortisol keeps you awake longer. Turn the clock away from you. Rule number 2, do not pick up your phone. The light suppresses melatonin. The content activates your brain. And remember what we just learned. At 3 a.m., your reasoning is compromised. Whatever you read, see, or worry about at 3 a.m. is being processed by a brain that is not working at full capacity. It is not a good time to make assessments about your life. Rule number 3, if after about 20 minutes you are still awake, get up. Go to another room, very low light, something quiet and slightly boring. Reading, not the phone, not for lying awake, struggling, and teaching your brain that the bed is where anxiety happens. When you feel genuinely sleepy again, return to bed. Most people fall back to sleep within 30 to 40 minutes. Some nights, you won't, and that is okay. One imperfect night does not undo good sleep. Do not make the night feel like a performance that you are failing. That makes it worse. The second part of the plan matters even more, because the real solution to 3 a.m. waking happens during the day, not in the middle of the night. 2 things: evening habits, cut caffeine after 2 p.m. Even coffee at 3 or 4 p.m. can still be in your system at midnight. Cut alcohol at least 3 hours before bed. It helps you fall asleep and then reliably disrupts the second half of your night. Finish eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. And if you are prone to blood sugar drops in the night, a small protein-based snack before bed, a small piece of cheese, a hard-boiled egg, can keep the liver stocked through the night. Daytime habits. This is the one that moves the cortisol needle most directly. Morning sunlight. 10 to 15 minutes of natural light to the first hour after waking resets your circadian rhythm and tells your cortisol to rise in the morning instead of at 3 a.m. Physical movement during the day. Even a 30-minute walk. Exercise is one of the most consistent cortisol regulators we have, and something that calms the nervous system intentionally. Prayer, meditation, quiet, whatever works for you. Lower the cortisol during the day and it stops exploding in the middle of the night. If the 3 a.m. waking has been happening every night for weeks, if it is affecting your daily life, if it comes with any of the warning signs we discussed, heart symptoms, breathing pauses, severe anxiety, please bring this to your doctor specifically, not as a side note, as the reason you are there. Remember the patient I told you about at the beginning? The one who dreaded bedtime? She started with two things. She moved dinner earlier, and she started walking 30 minutes every morning after breakfast in the sunlight. 6 weeks later, she told me, I'm not dreading bedtime anymore. I still wake up sometimes, but I go back to sleep. And the nights I don't panic. I just know what to do. Not a miracle, not a medication. 2 small habits, consistently applied. Quick checklist before we finish. The 7 suspects, in order from most common to most serious. 7. The bladder. 6. Silent acid reflux. 5. Blood sugar dropping and alcohol. 4. Hormones. 3. Sleep apnea. 2. The heart's morning preparation. 1. Cortisol firing too early. In the moment, don't look at the clock. Don't pick up the phone. If you can't sleep after 20 minutes, get up quietly. During the day, morning sunlight. Physical movement. Something that calms the nervous system. Cut caffeine early. Finish alcohol hours before bed. End eating 2 to 3 hours before sleep. Waking at 3 a.m. is not a broken body. It is a body communicating. Every signal has a story. The sooner you understand that story, the more options you usually have. Your body is always communicating with you. You just have to know how to listen. I'd love to hear from you. Do you wake up at night? Which of the 7 suspects sounds most like what you've been living with? Write it in the comments, just a number or a sentence. I read every one of them, and your answer may help someone else recognize their own pattern. If this video helped you understand something that you've been wondering about for months, like it, so more people who are lying awake right now can find it. And subscribe to the Health Signal so we can keep having conversations like this one. There is a video on your screen right now where I explain the early signals your nervous system sends, long before major health problems appear. It connects perfectly with what we talked about today. I'm Dr. Kaiser. Take good care of yourself. I hope tonight brings you a little more peace, a little better sleep, and a healthier tomorrow. I'll see you in the next video.